So, what makes clients buy even when your prices are high? It's Brandon Lewis here with the Painters Academy. Guys, this is another episode, another installment of Walkin with Brandon. I know all of you absolutely positively love this. I get the emails, I get the text messages, people talk to me on the phone. Howdy, neighbor. I know. So we're going to delve into this topic on this little walk, and I am going to take you behind the scenes in the mind of the client. I am going to give you, at the end, 3 measurable, doable, executable things that you can do to increase your charge rate, your transaction size, and your close rate at the same time. You think it can't be done, you be wrong, because it can be done. And I'm going to make a few observations, as I always do, along the way. So, after having done, I don't know how many it is now, almost 3,000, probably closer, 2,500, 3,000, I just quit counting, business diagnostics for painting contractors, where I spend maybe 15 to 22% of the time, depending on the situation, talking about sales process. What are you doing? What aren't you doing? How are you doing this? How are you writing that? What are you saying to the customer? What are you giving to the customer? What's your follow-up look like? All these questions. So I have a pretty good idea of what your typical painting contractor is doing. And every time I get on the call with a painting contractor, they invariably say the exact same thing. Oh, we're about the highest around. Our customers tell us we're high. If we went any higher, we couldn't close any jobs. Now, it can't be that almost 100% of everyone I talk to is the highest. It can't be. But what it is if you have a weak sales system, you have weak marketing systems, you don't have a relationship with your clients, you're going to hear a lot, oh, this is high, because you've not persuaded them of the value or the fact that you're going to reduce the risk. Okay? So I'm going to also tell you before we get started what the typical sales process looks like. This is probably what yours looks like. You get a call, sometimes you answer it, sometimes you don't. It depends on if you're busy. Some of them go to voicemail. You get back to them when you can. And it's always, well, where's your house? What's your address? When do you need it done? What type of work is it? I'll be out there Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And then you show up. You do small talk, pet the dog stuff, and you think that's what's going to win them over, right? I've never talked to anybody that thought their small talk was terrible. But some of them have to have terrible small talk. But they think that's what wins the job. It doesn't. Has very little bearing at all on it. Then you're going to walk around, cock your head to the left, pull a number out of the air, tell the client, maybe give them a verbal quote on the price or a ballpark, and then you say, well, I'm going to email you an estimate. Then you leave, and several hours or several days later, you email them a PDF with a price and a few line items about the scope, maybe a couple of pictures. And then you call them a couple of times, maybe text them or email them, say, hey, you got any questions, let me know. And after about 2 weeks, you give up on them. Is that your sales process? That doesn't work. It does not work. So the first thing you've got to do, if you're going to sell at high prices, is put yourself into the mind of the client. And most of your best clients are 50, 60, 70 years old. They have lived in a home that they care about, that they maintain. They don't do anything themselves. They get everything done around the house by professionals, so they don't have the time, but they do have the money. And the thing you have to realize is that their lived experience is that 99, not 99, that's a stretch. About 60% of the time, what you are promised and what you delivered, or what's delivered rather, does not match up. People promise the moon, deliver a moon pie. And then the contractor's like, I can understand why the client's mad, Brandon. I mean, we showed up at 10:30, we painted at 2 o'clock. Yeah, we might have left a mess in the backyard, and maybe Jose was smoking a doobie out in the car the whole time, but we got the job done. Well, that's not getting the job done. That's not getting the job done. Oh, anyway. And so they're worried, right? The painting industry has a terrible reputation. Contractors have a bad reputation. Painters probably worse than average. And these people have had all these bad experiences, and you show up and you give them verbal promises, and they're like, here's just another bad experience coming. And then there's all the unspoken worries, right? I got beautiful young daughters. I'm a woman myself, because typically they are the decision maker in the home. I'm worried about sexual assault. I'm worried about things being stolen. I'm worried about drug use. I'm worried about felonious behavior. You know, do we know anything about the painters coming into our house? Are they even from our country? I mean, people have concerns about it, right? I mean, if you can't check on anybody's criminal record, like, that's an issue if they're coming inside your home. It just is. That's why background checks for your painters is such a powerful sales and marketing tool. Free tip. And what you're selling is really expensive. You've heard me say it before. It's the class, it's in the same class as a middle class divorce, cosmetic surgery, new used car. It's risky and expensive from a profession that people don't trust. So you have really got to be persuasive. You've really got to be persuasive at every single point in the estimate that you contact the client. You've got to use every available moment from the time the phone call comes in, using the time in between the phone call and the actual estimate, using the estimate time wisely. You got to be persuasive. Pricing is just coming up with a price. Persuasion is convincing them to buy at high prices. And so when you do compel and convince them through proof and processes and tools, they look at it and go, yeah, this guy's 35, 45, 50, 60% higher. But based upon all the paperwork he's given me and all the testimonials I've seen and everything that's happening, I just think we won't have any trouble with this guy. Because I've gone the cheap route before, and I've not been happy with the work or the experience. People that have money will spend money to get a better service, but the issue is the only thing they know about your company is what you tell them and show them and demonstrate to them in the sales process and the subsequent follow-up. So if you're constantly hearing, your price is too high, your price is too high, your price is too high, okay? The price isn't right. If you're hearing that, you have likely got a very weak sales process with very few persuasive elements in it. And you may also have a relationship problem. If you don't stay in touch with your clients through emailed and mailed newsletters, if you're not reactivating them and using phone and text and ringless voicemail and everything else under the sun and social media, like, they just forget who you are. You can't have a relationship with somebody without communication, without spending any time, quote unquote, with them. There's no relationship there. So what else really matters? They don't believe you. So you've got to show a bunch of third-party proof. Testimonials, before and afters, positive emails, positive text messages, pictures of smiling painters with happy clients, awards, recognition, certificates, warranties, guarantees, screening documents, you name it. You want to provide so much proof to this customer that you are professional, that you reduce risk, and that you build value. You need to provide enough proof to burn a wet mule. If you can't burn a wet mule with it, that fire's too small, you're going to get price objections. So what are 3 practical things you can do to increase your closing rate that won't take a lot of time? I'm going to give you number 1 here. Do your estimates on the spot and print them. Physically print them. Print them, put an information packet with it of everything we know based upon research, the purchasing gods that be care about painting service providers. We know all this stuff based on research. Provide them with the proof, provide them with the printed estimate. That alone can lift your closing rate 7 to 10 points. I'm not kidding. Email is not persuasive. Kneecap to kneecap, face to face, that's persuasive. All right, what else? Things you can do that are real easy. You need to extend your follow-up process longer than you ever think is necessary. It takes the average American 68 days to make a $500 major purchase at their home of durable goods. It's a long time. What you're selling is far more expensive. So you got to get that stuff going. What else? What else do we have? Well, let me give you the third one. Oh, and on the follow-up that you're doing, somebody just pulled into my house. I got distracted. But anyway, if your follow-up doesn't last as long as is necessary, and or your medium use is strictly confined to a couple of things, I call them and I email them. We need to text them and mail them. Call them, email them, text them, mail them. Come up with all the stuff that you can send them. Mail packets. I mean, you're selling something that's thousands of dollars. So you can afford to do that. And then finally, the other thing that I would say, this is my neighbor, Jim. Jim and his dog. There he is. He knows what I do for a living, so he knows what I'm out here doing. Jim, good to see you, buddy. Rocco, how are you? Not Rocco, that's my dog's name. Anyway, so we got two, right? We got print your estimates on site, put it in their hand. You know, email doesn't work because you have to ask them, did you get it? That's how you know you put it in the wrong place. Did you get it? The other thing, other than extending your follow-up sequence and mixing up your mediums, video text messages that are personalized are highly effective. The other thing you've got to do is put together a book, a big, huge book of social proof. Many of our members, it's 200 or 300 pages. I kid you not. Look, you put it on the living room table, and it might break, right? And you bribe those people to read that and go through that while you're out in the car. So number one, assemble a ton of proof. Number two, print your estimates on site. Number three, extend your follow-up time, how long you do it, and then mix up the mediums. So I gave you 4 tips. I promised 3. That's a bonus tip. All right, guys. I'll try to do a video when I get high top Grandfather Mountain and Chimney Rock and Blowing Rock, all the rocks, next week when I go camping with the kiddos and the family and the friends. So, love you, mean it. Hope you're having a fantastic summer. Hope you're making tons of money. And if for some reason all of this is confusing and maybe you're not making that much money or maybe you're just stressed out and unhappy, I can help. Brandon at paintersacademy.com. Just email me. I won't get back to you next week. So you might want to call the office, 423-800-0520. Bob will call you. 423-800-0520. Hope y'all had a great Independence Day. I'll check in with you later. Bye-bye.